Right now on Justice, Donald Trump angrily defends his record on women while taking aim at his likely opponent's record on women.
She's married to a man who was the worst abuser of women in the history of politics.
While yet another woman starts a Twitter war against the Donald. What's behind Elizabeth Warren's rant? I have some ideas. Plus,
you can see them coming out right now, and every Secret Service guy is looking at us.
Look who I spotted in this week's Street Justice when I visited Trump Tower.
What do you think of Donald Trump? He just left, huh?
Stupid, strange man.
Yeah, where are you from?
Sweden.
Yeah, well, there you have it.
Justice starts now. Hello and welcome to Justice. I'm Judge Jeanine Pirro. Thanks for being with us tonight. So, you were worried about Donald Trump running the country? I'm more worried about two documented liars running the country. Hillary Clinton, who can't keep her story straight, whether it's the emails, Benghazi, or dodging those bullets on that tarmac in Bosnia. And now, Elizabeth Warren, make-believe Native American claiming Cherokee heritage, which minority status was used to promote her at Harvard Law School. The rumor tonight, Hillary Clinton may pick Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren as her vice presidential running mate. And this weekend is the audition for Warren to prove her vice presidential bona fides.
I just learned that Crooked Hillary, along with her friend, you know, she's got this goofy friend named Elizabeth Warren. She's on her Twitter rant. She's a goofus. She is a goofus. So, Elizabeth, you ever see her? I mean, this woman, she's a basket case. By the way, she's done nothing in the United States Senate.
And more than that, the Twitter war between Donald Trump and Elizabeth Warren is already locked and loaded. Now, Elizabeth Warren doesn't even like Hillary Clinton. She wrote a well-publicized critique of Hillary and her big bank connections and protections, saying that Hillary was initially opposed to an overhaul of the bankruptcy laws, but after receiving a $140,000 contribution from banking industry executives, voted in their favor, arguing that big banks were part of Clinton's constituency. Hillary has recently offered a flip-flop explanation. This is it. She wanted to protect vulnerable women and their children who were receiving child support from the risk that child support might end if the spouse went bankrupt. And Elizabeth Warren doesn't even support Hillary Clinton. In fact, she is still cheering Bernie Sanders on. No surprise there. Elizabeth, like Bernie, is a progressive, shall we say, socialist. The Bernie-Elizabeth love fest is well documented. Bernie saying that, unlike Hillary, Elizabeth is the real champion who will take down Wall Street. So, what's going on here? Aside from the fact that politics makes strange bedfellows, we're in the middle of the preview of the real 2016 presidential race. But then again, people don't vote for president based on the person running for VP. So what is this all about? If the rumor is true, it's about Hillary trying to deflect her big Wall Street and big bank sellout. It's about the Bernie Sanders millennials never voting for Hillary and using Elizabeth Warren to bring them in. It's about how Elizabeth Warren, it's making her the pit bull going after Donald Trump, while Hillary makes, well, ladylike. It's about shutting up Bernie at this summer's Democrat presidential convention. It's about Hillary doubling down on her woman card because, after all, Hillary is a proponent of women. Or is she? Take a listen.
She's married to a man who was the worst abuser of women in the history of politics. She's married to a man who hurt many women, and Hillary, if you look and you study, Hillary hurt many women, the women that he abused. And Hillary was an enabler, and she treated these women horribly. Just remember this. And some of those women were destroyed not by him, but by the way that Hillary Clinton treated them after everything went down. So just remember that, folks.
Now, I have a feeling we're going to be hearing names like Paula Jones, Jennifer Flowers, Juanita Broderick, Monica Lewinsky, and other such women. But I doubt they'll be coming out for Hillary. Plus, Hillary might be a little busy, given the reported upcoming interview with the FBI, which, of course, she hasn't heard anything about. Another lie that didn't even last a week. And the fact that the feds seem rather serious extraditing a convicted hacker from Romania who says he hacked into Hillary Clinton's emails, putting truth to the lie that Hillary had no Benghazi emails, not to mention the risk of our secure records being subject to exposure, but more the reality that it did happen. So stay tuned, folks. It doesn't get any better than this. And that's my open. Tell me what you think on my Facebook page or Twitter, #JudgeJeanine. And with me now is principal at the Dewey Square Group and Democratic strategist, Marianne Marsh. All right, Marianne, hello. Is Elizabeth Warren auditioning? And why would Hillary pick her?
Well, I didn't underestimate Donald Trump when he first started to run for president, and you shouldn't underestimate Elizabeth Warren either. The most dangerous person in politics is someone who has nothing to lose, and Elizabeth Warren has nothing to lose in this fight. And the fact that she's taking on Donald Trump the way she has on Twitter these last few days not only elevates her amongst her supporters across the country, which she's put together in less than 2 years. A lot of the people here in Massachusetts who first voted for Scott Brown, then voted for Elizabeth Warren against him, put her in the Senate. Those are the same people here who voted for Donald Trump in the Massachusetts primary. So she appeals to a lot of the union workers here, rank and file, blue-collar workers. Those are the same people who voted for Donald Trump that like Elizabeth Warren and voted for her, too. She has a great way to reach them. She's very effective
that's great,
at
except this is a national convention. So, I mean, the fact that these people in Massachusetts like her, and I know Massachusetts is an important state, but at the same time, I was looking up Elizabeth Warren's record. And, you know, apparently none of the legislation that she sponsored ever became law. I mean, you know, it's just she says she's proud of voting against the Keystone Pipeline, which would bring jobs, of course. But other than that, she's a good talker. And the truth is that she's got some real issues, credibility. I mean, this whole Native American thing, and it maybe wasn't something that was such a big deal, but now that she's on the national stage, it will be.
Well, a couple things. I mean, remember, she's in a Republican Senate run by Republicans and Mitch McConnell, but she is holding Wall Street accountable.
So that's why she hasn't gotten anything passed?
But in 2 years, Judge, well, look, the Republicans are in the majority. There's a reason we only have 8 Supreme Court justices right now. That's one of the reasons. So you're a Democrat. She's working very hard to get things done. She's holding Wall Street accountable. She's trying to get colleges refinanced.
Explain to me how she's doing it. A woman you say doesn't have power is holding Wall Street accountable. I could go out and give a good speech, too. Maybe for $285,000, I could give a great speech. But let's move on.
I have no doubt you could,
Hillary
Judge.
is doubling down on the woman card. Donald Trump is doubling down on his calling Hillary the enabler and saying that she's destroyed lives. I mean, you know, I get that she doesn't want to talk about it, but at the same time, when Donald went after Bill, they shut up.
Well, look, I think if Donald Trump wants to go back to the 90s against Hillary Clinton, it's not going to be very effective because people look at the 90s now and what they remember is the best economy they ever had and the biggest paychecks they ever had.
Yeah, but young people, the millennials, don't remember that. And they may be hearing about this stuff for the first time. So doesn't it go to your credibility? If you say you're a woman who supports women and then you hear that the one person who had the attack squad was Hillary Clinton.
I think when people hear about this, Judge, when you look at the facts, is Hillary Clinton was defending her husband. But once she found out the truth, and she found out pretty much when everybody else did, you didn't hear her going after those women anymore.
Oh
That's
my
a fact.
God.
She
You know what,
stopped.
Marianne?
That's a
I
fact.
love you.
That's
You
a
are
fact,
so
Judge.
smart. Don't say that. Don't underestimate my viewers and me.
I'm not.
The truth is, this went from the beginning right to the Oval Office, what he was doing to women. You know it and I know it. I can go through the lawsuit. It's not worth it. But it speaks to, if she's going to play the woman card, she better be a proponent of women.
She is. And I think, again, to be fair, she did go after women when she was defending her husband because she felt they were political
There's
attacks.
a difference between
you and I both
saying,
know,
I love my husband, and I know this, Marianne, I love my husband.
True.
You don't trash the women, but let's move on because this is getting too much. All right.
I think when everyone finds out the truth, they stop defending
What is
their
the
husband.
truth? Everybody knows what the truth is. Those lawsuits were settled, several of them with the women. But let's go to the Guccifer. Guccifer is extradited from Romania. I said this a month ago on Justice. All right? Guccifer is a hacker. She comes out and says that the campaign is unfathomable that this guy hacked into a mom-and-pop homebrewed server in somebody's closet. But the truth is he's a hacker. It's what he does for a living.
Sure, and don't you think if he had those emails, we would have read about them by now, and they'd be out in the world, and they would have been released long ago, and we haven't seen anything. So he's in a federal prison for hacking, and now he's talking cheap talk. I don't think he has a lot of credibility. If he's got the emails, show him. Put them out there. But I don't think he does, because I think he's not telling the truth.
But what if they're top secret and they're not being put out there now?
You know, Judge, as you and I know, throughout this whole case, unfortunately, there have been a lot of leaks. And I think if the FBI or anybody else looking at this believed that were true, we would have heard about that too, unfortunately.
But do you agree the whole thing's going to be resolved in the next month as it relates to the emails, not the foundation?
I hope so. I think it may not get resolved till the summer, though, frankly.
We'll
but I think what you do see is no one involved with this is saying that she intentionally committed any crime, intentionally violated
Anyway,
national security.
Marianne
Well,
Marsh,
there have been plenty of leaks,
love
as you
having
know.
you on. With
Thanks,
me
Judge.
now, Judicial Watch Director of Research and Investigation, Chris Farrell. All right, Chris. Hillary talks to Andrea Mitchell, and she says, nobody hacked my emails. Does Hillary even know?
She should know, and she's lying when she says no one did it. Guccifer is very credible.
Lying?
Well, because we have the inbox of Sidney Blumenthal published in The Guardian. We have the assessments of people like Michael Hayden and General Flynn, who said that they would be disappointed if their former colleagues in the KGB and the Chinese intelligence service hadn't hacked a wide-open outlaw server. It's improbable, it's unbelievable that any first world foreign intelligence service wouldn't target an incredibly vulnerable server like that.
All right, but let's go to the fact. If Guccifer, the Romanian hacker who was in Romania for hacking in a Romanian jail, not our charges, but if he did hack, wouldn't the FBI be able to identify where he was hacking from and whether he did the hacking? Wouldn't there be a physical location identification?
Absolutely. They can forensically walk it back. And frankly, that's why he's sitting in a jail in Alexandria, Virginia right now. They didn't extradite him because they had nothing else to do one week ago. There's a reason he's been brought back to the United States, and that's to provide evidence or testimony about how he entered into her server and what he saw there.
You know what's interesting? There's a quote, and when I was reading the reports, he says it was like an open orchid. The ease with which he hacked her emails.
He also said that there are at least 10 other entries or hacks by other entities that he could identify just by roaming around the server itself.
And there has been a suggestion that the Russians and the Chinese and maybe even the Israelis, and you can tell by the IPs, were hacking into it as well.
And that's exactly what you would expect.
You know what, Chris? The Judicial Watch has been the one consistent pursuer of the truth. I mean, you know, you've got Congress and oversight and all that, but you guys have taken it right to the courts. Do you think that the federal courts are going to do the judges anything about the fact that these State Department attorneys went in and said, we've got nothing, and swore to a federal judge that they had nothing that was in response to a freedom of information? Isn't it more than just about Hillary and Uma? Doesn't it go down the pike?
It absolutely is, and that's why in our litigation, where we've been granted discovery, in the next 8 weeks, we will take the sworn depositions of Hillary Clinton's inner circle, people like Huma Abedin, Cheryl Mills, the Assistant Secretary of State Patrick Kennedy and others. And frankly, it's only through our litigation that the public knows any of this. And we'll continue to press forward. And as we take these depositions, we'll make them public. People will be able to read and hear for themselves what was going on and what the story is.
All right, Chris, but you know what doesn't make sense to me? Okay, I was a prosecutor for 30 years, okay? If the FBI has a pending investigation, it is rare that they let a civil deposition precede their questioning or their resolution of their case because they don't want it messed up. But if a federal court has said you can question Hillary, Uma, and the rest of them, then you're going to do it, right? Can the feds stop you?
I mean, they could probably intervene if they wish to, but I can tell you that I, too, before I came to Judicial Watch, I was a special agent of Army counterintelligence. I've done investigations on unlawful disclosure of national defense information exactly like this. And so, you know, I'm not guessing at this. I've done it for a living, just as you've been a prosecutor. And you know that we're going to press forward very aggressively with our case to get the facts out. Whether the FBI does or doesn't move forward, or whether Attorney General Lynch chooses to block any kind of movement by the FBI to seek an indictment, you know, we have our own civil track. Judge Emmett Sullivan doesn't think this is funny.
Oh, I know. He
asked the Justice Department attorney who authorized the use of the server. They couldn't answer.
Oh, there's a shock. Anyway, Chris,
insulting.
I'm running out of time, but we're going to have you back, and we'll be watching very closely. I can't wait to hear what you get in those depositions. Chris Farrell, Judicial Watch, thank you. And still ahead tonight, street justice at Trump Tower. Plus, he was a prominent anti-Trump pollster leading the charge to stop Donald Trump from getting the nomination. So what's he going to do now? Ed Goes is here, and we're going to ask him. Plus, Paul Ryan isn't ready to support Donald Trump. Is that leadership? Is that unity? Three of the GOP's best are here to discuss the decision or lack thereof and what it will do to the party. Justice is coming right back. Don't go away.